Starting stream now.
Let's go.
Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Connor, thank you for joining me here today, or as we discussed in Instagram.
Yep.
Alright. Today we're going to be talking about basically our thoughts, our predictions, basically covering the upcoming game of Saturday Night Football, the Seattle Seahawks versus the 49ers.
Uh-huh.
All right, Connor, do you want to start us off real quick?
Yeah. Sure. So before we get started, the first thing I want to talk about is I think it's kind of a disgrace that the game isn't the Sunday night game. I I don't know why we're forced to have to watch the Ravens and the Steelers. I mean, both teams are going to get eliminated in the first round. I don't know why we're forced to watch that game on Sunday night. I mean, this is clearly the better game. So I guess that's the first thing I wanted to bring up because, like I said, I feel like this is, I mean, even 6 years ago, I mean, 2019, that was the year that the Niners went to the Super Bowl, the Seahawks, where they made it to the divisional round, but that was like for the number one seed, the winner of the NFC West, and that game was the Sunday night football game. So I thought for sure they do the same thing, put it on Sunday night. So last Sunday when they announced that it was going to be on Saturday night, I was like, really? So
Yeah.
that was a little dumb, especially because I'm not a big fan of I mean, I don't mind the Saturday games, but I'm not. It's not my favorite thing in the world, especially when my team's playing on it. I don't mind watching other teams play. I just don't want to watch my team play on Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense for it to be on Sunday because it's like it's the day that a lot of football games in the National Football League in the NFL take place at. But I think the NFL is wanting to put this game on Saturday because this game is going to be it's critical for both teams because obviously we have because this is critical because one, it is for first seed in the NFC West in the division and also for the title. So it's critical for those two matters. And obviously these teams are they've done the Seattle Seahawks have gone on a theirs is probably one of their better seasons overall. I can't remember how long though, but also the 49ers are a really great team overall. I will admit that. And these two teams have been in a rivalry for quite some time now. So for it being the last game for the Seahawks and I'm guessing the 49ers um for the regular season, it's it's nice.
Yeah. I you brought up an interesting point. You know, you said
Oh,
obviously
myself.
it's a very important, it's a very important game for both teams. You know, number one seed in the NFC on the line, NFC West championship on the line. But which team would you say that this game is more important for? Would you say it's more important for the Seahawks to win or more important for the 49ers to win?
Exactly, exactly. Um let's get on with the players that I think are going to be or well, I guess our predictions overall. Um Me personally, I think I mean Seahawks have had a good season to the regular season. Right now I believe I forget.
13-3.
Yeah, 13-3. They're at a good season. 49ers are 12-4. Um after the 49ers game against the Bears, it was a pretty close game with 38 and 42. It's a 4-point difference. After their win against the Bears, in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, they're going to pose a threat to the Seahawks. Because, I mean, this is a rematch game because they played in week one, and if I recall correctly, Um, the 49ers got the 49ers won against the Seahawks.
Yeah, 17-13.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking at the statistics, and it's close to 50-50. People are I think it's like 54% saying the Seahawks are probably going to win and 46 for the 49ers. It all basically depends on how player performance is. I've been looking to having a look at previous games for both the Seahawks and the 49ers, and they're both teams have great connection. They have like great communication, um, and it's great. Sam Darnold, one of those examples. He's been doing great as a quarterback this season, and Brock Purdy also making those passes over toward he's those two quarterbacks are great overall. And
100%. Hold up.
yeah,
Looking at the Sam Darnold 25-14 touchdown interception ratio. I think since Brock Purdy, I think right now overall Brock Purdy 20 is 20-9. But I think since coming back from injury, just passing, he's 16 pass touchdowns to 5 interceptions. And I think one of the key things that this game is going to come down to is just making sure that the Niners don't turn the ball over. I think that I think obviously the Niners since Brock Purdy has come back have been putting up. They've averaged over 34 offensive points a game, and so a couple weeks ago we saw the Rams put up 37 on the Seahawks. So it's not like you can't score against the Seahawks, but it definitely is not going to be as easy. And so, like I said, I think it comes down to Brock Purdy not turning the ball over. I mean, he had the pick six on the first play of the game last week. He was able to bounce back from that, but I can only imagine. I feel like in this game, it's really going to come down to our offense having to score every single time because I don't like our defense against your guys' offense. I mean, our defense can get zero penetration on the quarterback. We literally have 18 sacks on the year, which is last in the league. And so we're not getting any pressure, which means we're probably going to have to send, some of our defensive backs. We're going to have to send extra players in to get pressure on Sam Darnold, which is going to leave people open. So I think that I'm a little worried about our defense in this game. So it's going to come down to how our offense performs. And I think that kind of starts with Brock Purdy not turning the ball over. I'm pretty sure there's a stat out there that's like in the regular season when Brock Purdy doesn't throw an interception or turn the ball over at all, the Niners are undefeated. And so it's like, oh, that was really loud. And so, and so, if Brock Purdy can limit the turnovers, I think we have a pretty good shot to win. But he also is pretty prone to throwing interceptions. I think, we saw a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football against the Carolina Panthers. He had 3 interceptions in the first half, and even last week against the Bears, he had an interception on the first play, which honestly it could have been 2 interceptions. There was kind of a ticky tacky, like hands to the face penalty they called on the Bears near the end of the first half, even though the ball was intercepted, but technically it doesn't count. And then a week before that against the Colts, Brock Purdy threw a pick late in the fourth quarter. So he does have a reputation of typically turning the ball over at least once. And so he's going to, I feel like a big part of that is making sure that on Sunday or Saturday night, he doesn't do that.
yeah, absolutely. I've been also looking through like the running backs, Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. They're the great distances. I'd say the rushes and they're both good. They're both a good players. I'm trying to think of words. um, but I'm gonna start off with Kenneth Walker. Um, Walker has had He's had great distances when getting the ball, um and if we're looking back, yeah, um I'm trying to get statistics. uh yeah, he made like uh 51 yards in total against Carolina, and you know, I would have expected. I mean, it's half of the distance that he got against the Rams on the 18th of December, which you know it's like half of the stadium. It's half of the just half of the amount that they got on the 18th. But he's a good running back overall. In the regular season, he's got 930 yards, which is incredible for the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker, one of those one of those running backs that I'd say is probably great um, great one of those great players in the Seahawks, at least
Yeah,
from my experience.
he's averaged 4.5 yards per carry. But I want to bring up a little bit and talk a little bit about Zach Charbonnet because last week he had over six. Like typically, I would say the Seahawks are like a passing team. I mean, you guys have JSN, Sam Darnold. Like I said, he's thrown 25 touchdowns this year. However, Zach Charbonnet last week against Carolina averaged 6.1 yards per carry, and he was a big reason why you guys won the game. On top of your offense, because I mean, Sam Darnold threw an interception, he had a fumble, and originally, you guys only had 3 points in the first half, but you guys were able to lean on Zach Charbonnet a lot. So that's I think he's kind of been someone that hasn't been talked about as much because he's kind of struggled a little bit more. I don't he his yards per carry are definitely on average. I think they're like under four, so not as efficient as a running back on the ground. But he does provide that nice 1-2 punch combo, so that way they can kind of bounce off each other. And it almost seems like if one isn't having the best game, the other one is typically doing at least a little bit better, providing something towards the offense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking back. He did more than half. He did twice the amount against the Panthers. Like he said, he was more the reason why we won last week. So yeah. Let's get on to more of the 49ers as well. So Connor, would you want to take over on that one?
Yeah, sure, we can do. I can do that. So I think a key thing since the past couple of weeks on this, because the Seahawks and Niners are both on 6 game win streaks. I think one of the biggest things for this Niners team, especially offensively, has been the resurgence of Brock Purdy and then also Christian McCaffrey on the ground the past couple of weeks. So overall, since coming back from injury, Brock Purdy, including rushing touchdowns, has 19 total touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So he's playing elite, and that does include the game that he had 3 interceptions against the Carolina Panthers. So if you take that out, which you can't really take it out, but like other than that really bad first half, he's really gone like 2 interceptions and then it's like minus about like 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions more or less. And so like, and so he's been playing a lot more efficient, and he's kind of gone back to the 2023 version that I think a lot of Niners fans have been waiting to see. I mean, last year, I mean, he's always kind of been injury prone, no doubt. We saw the turf toe injury week one against the Seahawks, but even last year, he was not as efficient. And over the offseason, when we paid him like $53 million a year, I think a lot of people, even I was skeptical. I was like, is he really worth $53 million? Should we wait another year before we pay him? But it's performances like those that he have put on the past 2 weeks that have proved that he's been worth the money. I mean, 10 total touchdowns and 2 interceptions the past 2 weeks, and he's done it without a lot of his key players. I mean, especially last week against the Bears, Trent Williams, all pro and Pro Bowler left tackle, was hurt after the last play. George Kittle didn't play last week, and so he really had to rely on a lot of people other than really Christian McCaffrey, who's one of the best running backs in the league, other than him, he had to rely on a bunch of people who probably wouldn't even be on the roster for a lot of their teams, like Kendrick Bourne, Demarcus Robinson. I mean, these are people that have been in the league forever and probably would definitely probably not be playing, or if they would, they'd be like third or fourth string receiver on some of these other teams. And so his ability to carry this offense the past couple of weeks has been a big reason why we've seen them win, especially in spite of the defense that's been allowing. I think they allowed 28 to Philip Rivers, allowed 38 last week to Caleb Williams, and then even before that, when we played the Titans, I think we allowed 24 points to Cam Ward. So our defense has been giving up a lot of points, but thankfully Brock Purdy and the Niners offense has been able to kind of has been able to kind of carry the team past that. And part of it I was talking about was McCaffrey. I mean, I think before the past two games he's been averaging like under 3.6 yards carry. So this is one of his off years significantly in his yards per carry average. However, the past two games he's averaged 5.84 yards per carry. So he's definitely kind of been helping, even though we're definitely a pass first team at this point, he's kind of been helping to, um, he's kind of been helping to kind of every once in a while he's able to break one, and that can kind of rejuvenate the offense if they're slowing down at all, or I guess kind of shift or kind of break things up, because I feel like at the beginning of the year was like, okay, we have to pass to win because our offense, because our running backs are not producing. But now it's like, okay, we've been having more success on the ground, and I think that has helped with our passing game, because now not only are people having to account for Brock Purdy when he's going to do throwing the ball, but they also have to account for what Christian McCaffrey can do when he has the ball in his hands on the ground. And then also, I think when Brock Purdy came off of his injury from turf toe, he seemed kind of hesitant to start scrambling again. He kind of seemed like he was just going to stay in the pocket. He didn't really want to run around. However, the past couple of weeks, I mean, I feel like he's almost completely over his injury at this point in time. He had two rushing touchdowns last week, and he's scrambling out to the pocket, making plays on a weekly basis at this point in time. He's not taking sacks, and that's huge because our offensive line is definitely not the best, especially when Trent Williams isn't in. However, even with guys like Folsom McKivitz, Dominic Cooney, Spencer Burford, Jake Rendell, even Austin Pleasance when he has to fill in for Trent Williams, I mean, they've only allowed, I think, 6 sacks in the last 6 games, which is like 1 sack a game. And part of that is because they've been playing better up on the front line, but also part of that is because Brock Purdy's been able to scramble out and avoid taking sacks. And so I don't know. I think recently what's been going on with the Niners team has really just been carried by the offense. Brock Purdy playing a lot better, and then also McCaffrey producing more on the grounds. Um, and then defensively, it's like I kind of already alluded to it. It's been really rough. I mean, last week against the Bears, did the Niners like get a stop on the last drive? I mean, kind of. They kind of got a stop. I mean, if the Bears had like 15 more seconds, they probably would have won that game. But um, yeah, so I think the defense has definitely been concerning. I mean, to be fair, we had our first round draft pick, Michael Williams, out on injured reserve. Nick Bosa out since week 3. Fred Warner out since week like 5 or 6 or something like that. And so obviously it's been hard with the amount of injuries, but it just sucks because our DC, Robert Sala, he basically can only play soft zone coverage because he doesn't have the defensive backs to go one on one against some of these wide receivers. So it's basically our defense is allowing yards, 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 and then basically the hope is that by the time the other team, the offense gets near the red zone, our defense can basically just stand up near the goal line and make sure they don't score a touchdown. It's basically the bend but don't break philosophy, which works at times, but we also saw last week and really the past couple of weeks where it hasn't been working, especially against teams that have good offenses like the Bears. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been having a look at the stats of the different players in the 49ers. Um like you said, Christian McCaffrey looks to be one of the good running backs in the team, and I've been looking at Brock Purdy's as well. We saw that I see the gap between September 28th and November 16th as well. The start of the season as well, September 7th to September 28th. There seems to be a gap between those two. I'm guessing those are the injuries you were calling for.
Yeah, he was hurt after week 1, and then he tried to come back week 4, and then he played pretty poorly, and then he after that he didn't play for like a month and a half, and Mac Jones took over because of his turf toe injury.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, and one of Brock's big highlights were the 5 touchdowns in against Indianapolis as well. The Colts, 5 touchdowns from Brock Purdy, and 295 yards in that game as well. Whereas against the Chicago Bears, 3 touchdowns and 303 yards. That's insane. Um, but the back-to-back 295 yards from Indianapolis and Tennessee um, is, I'd say it's pretty big. Um, and George Kittle, and you said Mac Jones as well.
Yeah, Mac
Um,
Jones was the backup quarterback when Brock Purdy was out.
yeah. Um, his stats are looking pretty good. Um, which is great for a backup quarterback, I'd say. Um, and yeah, and overall, I think your team is. You guys have a good team overall. Like you said, you were also discussing about some concerns about the defensive line or something like that.
Yeah, real defensively, I mean, we have like no pressure up front. I mean, we haven't been able to generate any pressure. We have only 18 sacks on the year, which is dead last in the league. And that's kind of made it so that these teams cannot have all day to throw. All these quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, like Philip Rivers, they've had all day to throw in the pocket. And so that's why we've been getting carved up. And also, a big reason why we've been getting carved up is because we don't have the defensive backs like we used to have in past years. A lot of them are really young. Um, like Renardo Green, I think he's a second year player. Upton Stout, he's a rookie. And so some of these players that don't have a lot of experience are kind of getting torched up a little bit. And and so because of that, our defense coordinators playing this soft zone coverage, and that's been allowing our defense base essentially allowing our defense to just give up a bunch of yards. I mean, thankfully, sometimes we're able to get some stops. I mean, I think we caused 2 3 and outs on the first 2 drives against the Bears defensively. But then after that, it was like touchdown, 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 touchdown. And so, we only get a couple stops a game. So we have to make sure that they come at key points. And I'm hoping that this week, I think a big thing that's going to come down to this week is I think our best corner, Diamador Lenore, he got paid big time at the end of last season, and he hasn't been anything special this year. But I mean, quarterbacks haven't really been throwing his way, and I think that he needs to guard. He needs to go one on one. He needs to shadow Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think that'll be key because I mean, obviously the Seahawks have guys like AJ Barner, they have Cooper Cup, but those guys have not been anywhere near as productive as JSN is. And whenever the Seahawks can't get the ball to JSN early, they typically struggle. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and then also like even guys like Rashid Shaheed might be out for the game. So I think if we could man up against JSN and then we could play zone coverage for the rest of we can play zone coverage for the rest of the defense. But I want a one-on-one matchup between JSN and Diameter Lenore. Or else I'm honestly just scared that he's going to carve us up. I mean, I can almost guarantee with how poorly our safeties have played this year that Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to get at least one deep ball look. But if we for the most part can contain him to the point where like he only has like 6 catches for like 60 yards or something like that, no touchdowns, then I think that'll be very helpful in our likelihood towards winning. However, if he goes off and they get the ball to him early and often, then it's gonna be a long day for our defense because I mean we can't generate any pressure, and then I feel like football is a big game of momentum. So if you score consistently, like it's only going to pile up. And also with how poorly our defense has played this year, if you're able to get to your best receiver, who has been the best receiver in the entirety of football this year, it's not going to be looking too good um, for our defense. And then our offense going to have to just keep going. Like it's going to force our offense to have to score every drive, and then eventually I feel like there will be a turnover, and then from there it just goes one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. Um, the and also the other things as well. Um, like like let's go over to the Seahawks. And you know, I like how I mean, I didn't even think on some things. um, let's see. There's like you did mention on Darnold and how I think on how it goes. Um, anyways, my mind is also boggled up with all the information as well, because I've been looking through. Like I said, I've been looking through all the different kind of stats of the players. Um, anywho, um, yeah, you did also mention on Cooper Cup, and I've been seeing. I mean, I've been looking back at the game against the Panthers. Cooper has been he's been great. He's a good player overall, and I yeah, there's just a lot going on. I think I don't know. Did we cover everything, or is there more that you think there could be more that we could discuss?
Sure. So I have a question for you. Okay.
Yes.
So in this game, it's a big. You said it earlier. It was a big game for both teams. Who would you say this game is more important for? Would you say it's more important for the Seahawks to win, or would you say it's more important for the Niners to win this game?
I'd have to say it's because I'm a Seahawks fan myself. Um, I'd say it's critical for the Seahawks considering they have the first seed in the NFC West. Um, they're a good team overall, and we have 10 minutes left. Um, I'd say it is really important for the Seahawks um, because this is more of a redemption. This is a rematch against the 49ers from the start of the season. Um, but also, of course, the 49ers, they're climbing up. So I'd say it is really, really important for the Seahawks because they are wanting to keep, I'd say, keep the first seed in the division. So they're going to have to play extra hard and they're going to, you know, figure out offensive lineups and in different positions as well. More importantly, I think it's important if Sam Darnold looks around and be cautious around where defensive people are like future sacks in the pocket and it's and yeah, I'd say to conclude with your question, I think it is really critical for the Seahawks overall if they want to keep their first seed in the division.
Yeah, honestly, I would probably agree. I'd have a pretty similar answer. I would say it's definitely more important the Seahawks win this game. I think one thing is that I mean the Seahawks past couple of seasons have gone 10-7. They've been solid but nothing special. And I think that if they win the one seed, if they win this game, it'll kind of really prove to them like, hey, it will kind of prove to people, prove to their haters that they're not pretenders, that they actually are contenders. I mean, I've thought that they've been contenders for quite some time now, but I know that there are some people who are a little bit skeptical, especially with Sam Darnold at cornerback or at quarterback. And also because it's like the Niners, the past 8 games that the Niners have played the Seahawks, the Niners are 7-1. And so it's like the Niners have kind of the past couple of years have really been stacking up wins in this rivalry. So in order to kind of even out the rivalry and kind of prove that the Seahawks are like the little brothers, I think that's more important for them to win this game in that regard. But I also would say for Sam Darnold, it's important and for the confidence of the Seahawks going forward. Because if you think about it, Sam Darnold was in a really similar position going into Saturday night's game as he was last year. I mean, he was on the Vikings. He was playing the Lions for the number one seed at at Detroit, and earlier this season the Lions had already beat the Vikings, and if the Vikings win, they win the one seed. However, he ended up folding in that game. He did not play great, and he did not play well. And then they lost that game, had to go on the road against the Rams, and then they ended up losing that game as well. And so they went from being, I think, 14 and no, yes, it was like 14-2, I think, to like 14, yeah, 14-2 to 14-4, just like that, and the season being over. So I think Sam Darnold really needs this one to prove to all of his haters and prove to the organization that not only is he worth the contract, but that he can perform in these big time games. I mean, even a couple weeks ago when he played against the Rams, I mean, he didn't have that amazing fourth quarter comeback. He led the Seahawks to 16 points. But we can't forget about how, first off, like, I mean, he kind of got a little bit lucky. He got a lot of help from Rashid Shaheed taking that punt or taking that punt return all the way for a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then also kind of the very fortunate 2 point conversion where like it technically went backwards and then they picked it up and then it counted. I
The
mean,
backwards pass.
yeah, the backwards pass, and so he played well in the last like quarter and a half, fourth quarter, and then overtime of that game. You got to give him credit for that. But like before that, he did not play that well. I mean, he even had two interceptions, and it looked like the Rams were going to take that game away and basically lock up the one seed. But for fortunately for the Seahawks fans, Darnold came back. But even then, there's still a little skepticism. It's like if like, can you trust Sam Darnold throwing two touchdowns, two interceptions? Like is that going to keep winning you football games? So I think there's a lot of skepticism around Sam Darnold, and so I think it's more important, especially for him to play well in this game and prove that he can perform in the big time moments.
Exactly. Um, yeah, like you were mentioning, the backward pass and the 2 point conversions as well. Those were some really key highlight moments. Probably one of the more intense and crazy games I've seen in the Seahawks. Um, I took a break for a few years, and now coming back heavily, um, going through all the different past games, everything, and um, and picking up where the season started, going into where we are right now. I'd say Sam Darnold has made a big difference into the Seahawks right now, because just they're an incredible team overall, and considering that this is one for the division, um, and for the next one for the tournament of champion of the NFC, um, coming up, they got to go up against the 49ers first. Um, but I think with Sam Darnold as our quarterback, I think we have a chance at clinching up this win for the Seahawks, if I'm going to have to be honest.
So we only have a couple minutes left. So what is your official score prediction for the game?
I am going to say my score prediction. I mean, it's going to be a close game, I feel like. So I'm going to have to guess. Uh, I'm going to guess. Let's see, because my dad's saying 20-14. I'm going to say my prediction most likely like 27 um 27 20 27-20.
Yeah, for the Seahawks,
Mm-hmm.
I would
Seahawks.
say, yeah, I was actually gonna say something really similar. I was like, I know I'm the Niners guy, but I don't know. I mean, last week we played the Bears defense. They had one sack, and the Bears defense is really just not that great. And even before that, we played the Colts defense. And even though Colts are have a strong defense in that game, they didn't have Mooney Ward, they didn't have Sauce Gardner, so their secondary was not very good in that game either. Obviously, with so many injuries, and so we've been able to carve up some bad defenses. But we're going up against the Seahawks, who last time we played them, we had 17 points, and so I would say I don't think we're going to score as many as we haven't scored the past 4 weeks. But I also don't think we're going to only score like 10. So I'm going to go my official score prediction. I'm going to predict the Seahawks to win. I know. I'm kind of being a little bit of a traitor, but I'm going to go see the journalistic mindset inside of me is telling me to be honest. And my honest prediction is I'm going to say Seahawks. I'm either saying the Seahawks are going to win 30-24 or like you said 27-20. I think we're going to crack 20, but I think we'll struggle defensively. And then one other thing real quick that I wanted to mention was that the fact that this game it's in Santa Clara this time, it's not in Seattle. So that you would think that's good, but it's actually like the past couple of days I've been looking at the weather. It's supposed to rain. It's been raining and it's supposed to rain on Saturday. And the last time I remember the Niners playing in the rain on a primetime game was last year against the Rams on Thursday night. And I think we put up like 6 points in that game. So obviously this is a different offense. We're a much better team this year than we were last year. But I do think the rain will play a factor at least a little bit. And so I think that's something that hasn't really been talked about too much. But I do think when you factor in the rain, our subpar defense, and then your guys' is good, like I would say, like I mean, you guys have one of the best defenses in the league. So when you add all those in together, I would say you guys will probably win by six-ish points, 6 points, 7, 8-ish points. So yeah,
All right. Well, thank you, Connor, so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. We're gonna end the stream, and I hope you guys have a good day. And Seahawks, good luck on the game tomorrow. All right.
yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
Connor.
yeah. Thank you. Will have a good one.
You too. All right. See you later, guys.